Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Off the Rip. In this episode, I'm going to go over 5 topics: the wild moments from Detroit, my RM fantasy picks, this Chase versus Cooper Webb battle that we got going on in the 450 class, who's going to be the new HRC fill-in rider for Jet and Hunter Lawrence, and then lastly, the biggest robbery that we've seen in Supercross. Well, not the biggest, but it was, I felt like, a robbery that happened in that 250 class. So let's get into it in this episode of Off the Rip. All right, so bringing you the wild moments from Detroit, just starting off the day. Joey Savacci took us on a trip to Indonesia, or at least he did, endoing over a huge quad. He got so lucky he landed on the backside and was able to get up and race. We saw that Austin Faulkner got attacked by the tough block monster. And then we saw the pro circuit rider, Cameron McAdoo, aka Cameron Crashadoo, doing his season tradition of hitting the ground super hard. Looks like his bike skipped out from him. Then he just went for a ride, took a handlebar to the face.
In the face! In the face! No!
So that caused a red flag, made everybody bunch up again. And then things changed for the leader, Max Anstie, and Levi Kitchen ended up getting the win. So that was wild. And then all my beginner riders, my C riders, who might still be hitting the gate or jumping the gate, don't feel bad because the best of the best are doing it. Chase Sexton jumps the gate on the start of the main event. Then it was wild to just see him come from dead last to third place. So those were all the wild moments from Detroit. All right, so let's get into my Rocky Mountain fantasy picks. I'm stoked because I finally guessed the leader right. That was Cooper Webb, but let's run through them. My picks were Webb, Sexton, Roczen, Anderson, Stewart, and wild card for 13th, Colt Nichols. Webb, I called it last episode. I felt like he was going to get it done in Detroit. He's been right there, and a win was due for Cooper Webb. Sexton felt like something was going to happen. He's just been a little bit inconsistent with his starts. It's either hit or miss, and we kind of saw it, literally, pun intended, hit or miss. Roczen, he's just been consistent this whole time, so it was hard not to put him in the top 3. Jason Anderson was looking good. Malcolm Stewart also had a good race last time, so I think Malcolm, just coming off a win, a top 5 was definitely doable for him, so that's why I thought he would end up there. But anyway, those were my Rocky Mountain fantasy picks. Let's move on to talk about this Chase and Cooper Webb battle. All right, so in the previous years, we've seen Cooper Webb go after a championship, and he would face off against, like last year, we had Jet Lawrence. We saw him face off with Ken Roczen. We've seen him face off with Eli Tomac, but we really haven't seen him face off, go head-to-head with Chase Sexton. What's awesome about this is because we're going to see if Cooper Webb can get into the head of Chase Sexton like he's done with the rest of his competitors when he's battling for a championship. The question is for Chase Sexton, is he mentally developed enough? That's kind of harsh to say it, but is he mentally strong enough, I guess, to carry out this championship? We've seen him win a championship before, so he can do the job. But you got a bulldog like Cooper Webb nipping at your heels, and now they're tied for the red plate going into Arlington. So Arlington is Webb's kingdom. Are we going to see another win from Cooper Webb, or will Chase bounce back and defeat Cooper Webb at one of his best tracks? I don't know who I'm going to put for fantasy, but I might have to go with Cooper Webb again for the win. But we'll see. I know Chase is going to be tough. But, dude, this Cooper Webb looks pretty freaking good. I mean, I think he'd be giving Eli and Jet a run for their money. His riding has been great. In Tampa, it looked like he was going to come through the pack. Got a little bit buried with the lappers. This race, he was just behind Roczen the entire time and then struck, which was crazy because we've seen it happen so many times before. This is probably Ken Roczen's nightmare, and he doesn't get to wake up from it. He has to live through it. So that must be tough on Kenny. But let's move on to what I wanted to talk about is this Honda fill-in. So Lars, the team manager for Honda, came out saying that they're looking for a fill-in rider. Looking through the list of names, a lot of these riders are either with a satellite team or they're locked into something. A lot of fans are suggesting Justin Hill, but I'm not sure if Justin Hill will do it because he is with Team Tedder. And it seems like he has a very solid program with them. He gels well with that team and that group. So I don't think Justin Hill will leave Team Tedder to ride for HRC. It's factory Honda, HRC. I don't think they're going to go for some privateer to come fill in that's not putting up results like in the top 10. I just don't see that happening. Maybe one guy they can go after who's semi-retired is Dean Wilson. Maybe he will fill in. Or, crazy idea, crazy thought, Trey Kennard could be that guy. He was fooling with us on Instagram. We kind of saw it with Brock Tickle in the outdoors. He was a test rider and he filled in for Kawasaki. So maybe Trey, I know it's Supercross, it's different than outdoors. Who do you think will be this HRC fill-in, or will there not be a fill-in rider at all? Let me know in the comments. But let's move forward and talk about this 250 East Coast main event. So this 250 East Coast race had a bunch of fans confused. I was confused myself because I thought if 90% of the race is completed, then you don't do a staggered restart. You just end it like that. But it was pretty clear that it was going to be a staggered start or a staggered restart. So seeing that, I was like, man, this isn't fair for Max to lose that 7-second gap that he had. I think there needs to be a better rule for it. Maybe a rule if you're over X amount of seconds, say like 5 seconds, that you have that amount of time to gain over the rest of the field. I just don't feel like this rule is fair for the leader if they have a huge gap. I thought it was some BS, but that's just the way it is. That's the way it goes.
That's the way she goes.
That's the way she goes?
That's right. That's the way she goes.
The thing, though, is that Cameron Crashadoo, he's crashed out every season so far. I mean, the guy's an amazing rider. He's fast as hell. He can, he can win, but I don't think he will ever be a champion because he's so inconsistent and crashes out way too many times. So props to him for wanting to stick it through. But now we're going back to the West Coast, and all these riders, Hayden Deegan, Julian Beaumer, Cole Davies, they all said they're going to come out swinging. So we'll see who the rider is that wins. I'm kind of pulling for Cole Davies on this one. I want to see the rookie get a win. I'll be there in person to watch, so that'll be pretty cool. So I'll talk to you guys next week about Arlington here on Off the Rip. Peace.